Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Armada Bombers for the Rebellion. Which is the better bomber, the BWing or the Scurrg H-6 bomber? I'm going to try and make a case for the Scurrg because I feel like it often gets overlooked and passed up in favor of the BWing. So we're going to compare these two. Also, I'm going to be announcing the winner of the latest giveaway at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you don't win, don't feel bad because there's always new giveaways starting up, and all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment to enter to win one of those. So we're going to look at the BWing first because it is my favorite ship in the Star Wars universe, and it's a really, really good ship here. It's for only 14 points, you're getting yourself a really nice bomber. It can roll a blue and a black die versus a ship, and that's pretty much the biggest advantage that you're gaining right there. It's amazing, and it's rolling a blue and a black against a ship, but it's only speed 2. It's got 5 hull though, so it takes you can take a few hits. They're pretty sturdy. They're doing 3 against Squadrons, so they're just kind of middle of the road there. Not really designed to be anti fighter as much. They're more or less designed to be anti-ship, and they excel at that with the 2 dice, both blue and black. The black alone is really good because you have a pretty good chance of getting double damage, including that critical. But the fact that you also get a blue means you can get 3 damage, and it's not that hard to get 3 damage, considering Bomber Command Center is often a thing, or even just a blue die reroll from a Torin Far really gives you a lot of flexibility with these types of ships. But also the fact that you can potentially get that accuracy when you're trying to go up against maybe some kind of flotilla or some kind of ace with a scatter. So or not ace with a scatter, but like a ship that's going to maybe, contain your crit or something like that. So just having the 2 dice for, for your anti-ship armament is really, really nice. And a black and a blue is just lovely. It's just absolutely lovely. And it just works so well with Bomber Command Center because, chances are, you have a pretty good chance of rolling, pretty good damage on these, but there's always a chance you're going to have at least one. You're usually not going to have both dice bad. So when with the single reroll, it just really, really, really helps you optimize what these B-wings can do. And now, a couple of years ago, I had a lot of success bringing a bunch of Scurrgs in a list to a regional that I took second in, and I think the only reason I didn't do better is because I made a critical mistake at the very end. But the list really featured a lot of Scurrgs. So let's talk about the Scurrg and I think why nobody takes them. First off, when I say nobody takes them, I mean they're not largely represented, not at least compared to the B-Wing. So the Scurrgs are 16 points, so they're 2 more points, and they have 1 less die against Squadrons. So I think the cost is the bigger factor. I think the cost is the main reason they don't get taken over B-Wings, because you can only have 134 points tops of Squadrons. Every point is essential. And the B-Wings are already a little more expensive than most generic Squadrons, so if you're going up to 16 points for a generic Squadron, it definitely becomes more difficult. So I'm going to plead the case why I think it's worthwhile, and then we're going to do a little build featuring a bunch of Scurrg bombers. So first off, we already talked about their disadvantages. All right, they are 2 points more expensive, and they lack the anti-squadron die. Well, I don't think, even with B-Wings, you don't want them shooting Squadrons anyway. So for me, they could have 0 Squadron dice, and it wouldn't make as much of a difference because I'm not going to be shooting Squadrons with them. I'm going to be going after ships. And now the 2 more points is certainly a drawback. I can't deny that, but I think it'll make up for it for a couple of reasons. First off, they'd still have the blue and the black. Again, this is very uncommon in the game of Armada. Having a blue and a black die is uncommon, and so it's nice to see another option when there are so few ships that have multiple ship dice when they're attacking ships. There's just not that many, and for them to have a blue and a black and bomber is just great. That's one of the things that makes the B-Wing so great. So the fact that there's another ship that shares the strengths of the B-Wing, that's awesome. But they have more than just the strengths of the B-Wing. First off, they have more hull. They have 6 hull as opposed to 5. So they're stronger. They will stay alive longer. They also have speed 3 as opposed to speed 2, which is tremendous because that's the pitfall of the B-Wing for the longest time was the fact that they were so slow, they were hard to get into position. There were some things that have come into the game that have kind of made this less of an issue, like rapid launch bays. However, now you don't have to take rapid launch bays. Like them being speed 3 means you don't have to rely on gimmicks to try to get them into position. They're a lot easier to position and a lot easier to use once they are positioned. B-Wings are very, very easy to escape if you are able to get away from them after the initial volley, and Scurrgs make that significantly, easier to position them and easier to maintain them once they are already, shooting. You can continue to, you're more likely to be able to keep up with your opponents. Now, they do have bomber, but we're going to talk about what else they have. Now, they have heavy. I guess I failed to mention that heavy is another drawback, because heavy is a negative thing. When you're not, you don't tie up other ships, and that they're not going to be prevented from moving or attacking, which, while technically it's a drawback, I put it in the same category as not having an extra blue squadron die. I'm not trying to tie up other squadrons with a Scurrg H-6 bomber. A B-Wing might as well have heavy, because the way you're going to fly it, it doesn't matter. You're not sending a B-Wing into a swarm of ties to try to engage them all and keep them, in position. You'll send an X-Wing there instead, or better yet, maybe an A-Wing that has counter or something like that. So you have other ships that you're going to be doing that job with. So for me, heavy doesn't even matter here. It's not an issue, and it doesn't really impact the cost change. For me, the bigger, the things that warrant the cost are the extra health, the extra speed, and this keyword right here in the middle, grit. Grit is very, very important. And it says you are not prevented from moving when you're engaged by only one squadron. Now, I want to point out that you are still prevented from attacking ships if you're engaged by only one squadron. But the thing is, if you're activated via a squadron command, you can move and shoot in either order. So you could always move first, maybe just a centimeter or so you're not engaged anymore, and then fire, or move to the other side completely, or just get away if it's going to save your life, or it gives you a lot of options. Grit is a really strong ability and is often overlooked, because one of the main ways people will try to tie up B-Wings is by sending some kind of ace or some kind of Tycho or Sharabe or somebody into the swarm, and just to tie all of them up. And the Scurrgs don't have that problem at all. You're gonna have to commit forces, and if you spread out Scurrgs, they're not going to be able to just commit some forces. They're going to have to commit lots of forces in all kinds of various different ways, because each Scurrg is going to require 2 of your opponent's ships to lock them down. Now, I will point out that you are still engaged with other squadrons if they have heavy. So if your opponent sends a TIE fighter and a TIE bomber at you, even though the TIE bomber has heavy, the TIE fighter will still keep you engaged, because you were then engaged with the TIE fighter and you also are engaged with 2 ships. So, for veteran players, they know this already, but this is one of those things that can often get overlooked, is that the way the interactions between grit and heavy. So, if you did have 2 ships and one of them was heavy, you would still be prevented from moving if you had grit. So, but that's usually not the case. Typically, what's 9 times out of 10, somebody's sending a single fighter your way to try to tie up all of your squadrons. The Scurrgs aren't going to be affected by that. And I just think that gives you a lot more flexibility, especially when it comes to issuing squadron commands or potentially giving them rogue with somebody like Hera. So that being said, let's go ahead and do a build. And we're going to do a build that might normally have B-Wings in it, but instead we're going to add some Scurrgs. And I'll be talking some more about the strengths of the Scurrgs as we get into this build. So I'm going to start off with 4 Scurrgs. Now, I don't often build from the squadron level first, but I want to do that here in this case, because I'm going to explain my carrier options and some things that are going to be happening as a result of all of this. Now, I'm going to go kind of squadron heavy in this build, but I'm going to be using some expensive ones like the Scurrgs. I'm going to also use Hera, who's also very, very expensive, and she exists to potentially give them rogue if they need it. I'm also going to put another pretty good bomber in there that's a little cheaper, and that's Gold Squadron. Gold Squadron is got a lot of the strengths of the Scurrg: 2 anti-ship dice, speed 3, and 6 hull. Again, only 2 against ships, or I'm sorry, only 2 against squadrons, but we don't really care about that. Doesn't have heavy, does not have grit. So, but Gold Squadron is great. Gold Squadron is an all-around great bomber, just a very, very useful ship. Not particularly good at dealing with other ships, but if in a pinch, if I needed to send somebody to, to engage other squadrons, Gold Squadron would be a candidate, but that would definitely not be my first choice. To pad out the squadrons and to round out this list, I am going to put some cheaper squadrons in there. I'm going to go with Z95s, and the reason is Z95s aren't all that great, but they do have some potential for damage, but it's kind of really, they're just here because they cost 7. That's the only reason I have them in here. And I'm going to put 4 Z95s. This is going to bring us up to 132 points of squadrons. We're very close to the cap, and this is 10 squadrons in this list, which is a pretty high amount, and and this is kind of like why I'm okay with Scurrgs, because had I dropped them down to B-Wings, that would have given me 8 more points. I might have been able to get 1 more squadron in there to make up for it, but I just don't think an extra Z95 is worth, having grit and speed 3 on all of my bombers. So I really like the Scurrgs for this case. And so with this squadron setup, the idea is that Hera, Gold Squadron, and all of the Scurrgs can move in and threaten all of the enemy ships very, very significantly. Hera can also attack, a fighter that happens to be left behind. Or if somebody does try to entangle my Scurrgs with 2 fighters, maybe Hera can destroy and kill the weaker of the 2, allowing the Scurrgs to then, move and activate. So I think Hera works really well with the Scurrgs in this case. And I do have 4 disposable Z95s that I can use to engage against the other squadrons that are out there. With the red dice and the reroll, they have a pretty good chance of rolling damage against other squadrons. Also, there's going to be 4 of them, so I can spread them out. I can put them all over the place. I can tie up enemy bombers. They can be the ones that play the part of dealing with enemy squadrons, and or I can fly them along with my bombers. If I end up going up against a fleet that doesn't have much in the way of bombers, then the Z95s can just kind of fish for those double hit sides and, kind of roll and pray, so to speak. But either way, it's a lot of squadrons. It's also going to give us a tremendous deployment advantage against a lot of lists as well. So now that we've got our squadron base, let's go ahead and talk about what ships we're going to put in here. Some of these are going to be Rebel staples. So let me talk about the Yavaris, right? We're going to definitely put a Yavaris in there. We're going to choose a Nebulon B escort frigate. By the way, I'm using Ryan Kingston's fleet builder. I will put a link to this builder in the description below. Excellent, excellent builder. So if you're new to Armada, I definitely suggest checking this website out and donating so that you can save your fleets. It's a great option to do, and we really help him out, and you help the whole community out because it's a great builder. It really makes fleet building very, very easy. And so the Nebulon B escort frigate is going to have Yavaris, and what this is going to do is going to let our Squadrons attack twice, and it is just ultimately great in a build like this. We want those bombers to be able to attack twice. We want to be able to roll 4 dice from each Scurrg. If they activate 2, and maybe if they have a token on top of that, that can be 3 bombers activating, rolling their dice twice. So that's 12 dice we get to roll. It's a maximum of like 36 damage from potentially, if everything was lined up perfectly. It's absolutely insanity. Or maybe I did the math wrong. I don't know. I just did it on the fly. But one of the things with Yavaris is, since we cannot naturally extend the range, I'm going to put Flight Commander on Yavaris. Flight Commander does allow me to activate my Squadron Command after I move. This does a couple of things for me. It allows me to keep Yavaris farther in the back rank of my formation, and not have to worry about keeping him in range, because then I can just, stay late, stay safe. When it's safe to go ahead and activate, shoot, then move into dangerous range, then activate squadrons. And whereas normally you have to do your squadrons before you attack or move, this, the Flight Commander just gives me a tremendous amount of flexibility and kind of ensuring that I can get to where I need to be. Because one of the worst things in the world is to have a Yavaris that is just a millimeter out of range of activating that double BWing bomber or something like that. And it's happened to me before, and I know that pain, and it hurts. So let's do our flagship next. I'm going to do a pretty beefy flagship. We'll do an MC-30, because MC-30s are pretty epic. They're pretty spectacular. And I'm going right past them. And we're going to go with an MC-30 torpedo frigate. Now, and we're going to put our flagship on here. We're going to go with Dodana, because we are fishing for crits. And crits are going to be our best friend in this build because we've got so many bombers. We're going to be trying to really wreak havoc on our opponent. And the MC-30 is actually very, very good at giving those out. Now, it's dangerous to put Dodonna on an MC-30, but not as dangerous if you outfit it properly. So we're going to start off with the Admonition title. This is going to allow us to spend a defense token to cancel an attack die, which is really, really good. And this is different than when you're not. This is different than you spending it for its, to do something. So, like in theory, you can spend an evade to cancel, a die at long range, and then if there was another one, you could spend another, you could spend another evade to cancel one because it's a really you're discarding a defense token. You're not spending the defense tokens, and that's really the difference. You're just discarding. So ideally, you spend one and then discard that same one because it makes more sense to discard an orange token than a green one. Additionally, we're also going to put Lando on here for those times where Admonition is not enough and you really need to try and save your General Dodonna. But this combination is an incredible defensive combination. Now, for offense, I am going to obviously give us the very, very popular where are we going? Ordnance Experts for our Black Dice rerolls. And for our ordnance, I'm going to go with Assault Proton Torpedoes. Because we have Dodonna, I am definitely going to prefer to get the crit as opposed to the extra 2 damage on the sides. The Assault Proton Torpedoes is great because it's basically +1 damage on top of anything you would have had. And even if you go up against a ship that is fully shielded, you can still get that Dodonna crit on there. It even skips contains. So it's just a great punch. This is a powerful, powerful ship here. And I like having a really, really beefy ship in a build that's more built around squadrons and carrier support. It's nice to have a real beefy ship in there too. So what else are we going to put in? Well, we're going to put in a CR-90, also a medium kind of beefy ship that's capable of doing nasty things. We'll put turbo laser reroute circuits on there. Now, turbo laser reroute circuits is going to let us turn one of them red dice into a double, or potentially, if the shields are already down, you have the option to turn them into a crit. And because we're running Dodonna, I think that's just a great option to have. TRC is always great on a CR-90, always has been. Probably always will be. And to make it just a little better, we'll give it Jaina's Light as well, so this way it can't be obstructed. So this way we'll probably always have at least 2 shots. Well, at least. You're not going to get more than that on a CR-90, but we'll probably make sure we always have 2 shots on this CR-90 and always have the ability to turn one of those red dice to a double with our turbo laser reroute circuits. So we have a little bit of points left, and now it's time for a really good support ship. And we're going to go with the classic flotilla. I really, really like running a flotilla with Bomber Command Center. Of course, if you're going to have ships that are rolling lots of dice, you're definitely going to want lots of bombers with lots of Bomber Command Center support. So this GR-75 medium transport is going to have that. But of course, if it has Bomber Command Center, it's going to be a target. So we're going to give it Bright Hope to help it stay alive. Bright Hope is incredibly strong on a GR-75. It's, it's the only ship it can go on, but it's just incredibly strong because they have to get behind it, and you're probably going to fly it pretty slow. To help you fly it kind of slow and a little bit out of danger, we're going to give it Boosted Comms. Boosted Comms is going to extend our squadron activation range to long range, and this way we can still activate squadrons ourselves at long range, so we don't have to be right up in the middle of everything. Although we do want to make sure we're not pushing our squadrons outside of our Bomber Command Center range. So it gives us flexibility, but it's it's still something you have to play very carefully. And for our officer, now you could go with someone like Major Durlin for extra survivability, but I think Bright Hope is going to be enough as well as flying it kind of at long range and trying to keep it safe. But I'm going to put Adar Talon on this thing. Adar Talon is one of the greatest officers ever. I absolutely love him. He's just so very, very nice. Granted, he's a little better with like the named Scurrgs and the named stuff, but I feel like that's another thing that makes him a little better with a Scurrg over a BWing is that you have greater potential with double tapping a Scurrg, because if it has to move again, or if it gets rogue from Hera, like maybe you activate that Scurrg earlier and then you want to Adar Talon it, so this way Hera can go ahead and activate it, or maybe you Adar Talon Hera after actually activating her as normal. So this way she also gets to activate herself again with Rogue. Hera being in this build just gives you so many options that work really well with Adar Talon. Even if you're going to be moving something out of range, there's always that chance that Hera can get there and allow it to activate again. She is just such a great support commander. I can't wait to see a General Syndulla show up in this game as well. It's really, really cool. And that's the build. We're going to stop at 396. That's not a whole lot of an initiative build, but it gives us enough to go first against the players that haven't done a very strong initiative build. But it's not enough to guarantee that we're going to go first all of the time. We would really want to drop some major things out if we needed to go first. I don't know, I feel like this isn't a build that absolutely needs to go first. I think we're going to be playing safe enough that going first isn't quite so crucial, and I feel comfortable with that. I feel like also with the Rogue ability for a lot of these Scurrgs and Hera, I feel like we can do some damage to, like, even sneaking in demos and stuff. I think we can make some really nasty things happen. So yeah, and also, if somebody does manage to sneak in, and we kind of probably want to lead with our MC30, and if somebody does manage to sneak in and get a nasty first player shot on us, I feel like the MC30 could stop just about anything that they throw at us. It's just that good when you have Lando and admonition, because you can let them do all the reroll shenanigans you want, and then be like, no, you guys are gonna have to reroll everything that's good, and then let admonition take care of the rest, and your defense tokens and all those shields. It's gonna be hard to kill this admonition right here. Okay, guys. Well, that is the build, and hopefully, maybe I've changed your mind, maybe caused you to rethink your outlook on the Scurrg H-6 bomber. The other reason I wanted to talk about this is because the Scurrg H-6 bomber is in the the Rogues and Villains pack, and we will be seeing a new Scurrg H-6 bomber, supposedly, once Rebellion in the Rim comes out. So that's also pretty cool. All right, it is also time to announce our winner for the $25 Amazon gift card, and I want to throw a big congratulations out to Robin Van Beek. Robin Van Beek, thank you. Congratulations, and make sure you send me an email. You can get my contact information on the About page or over on Crabbok.com under Contact Me, and just shoot me your contact information, and we will get you squared away. All right, I want to thank everybody for your continued viewership, and stay tuned very soon for the next giveaway, which will be starting up any day now. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.